that complexity is only going to increase over time. And as you mentioned about not only inter-profession but intra-professional collaboration, that is absolutely required, and business processes, business systems are getting more complex. Take for example, we now talk about AI, and if you have to, let's say, audit a particular outcome coming out of AI, you can't understand the algorithm at work, so there are a lot of nuances and technologies involved. There are opportunities, as we have been discussing, and there are then challenges to capture those opportunities, but it once again comes down to how forward looking we are.
Hello everybody, today we are talking with Mr. Rabin Katwal, who is a fellow of ACCA Global, and he is also the country head of ACCA Nepal. So let's welcome him today in this show. Rabinji, thank you very much for joining us today.
Many thanks for this opportunity. Thank you.
Maybe we could start with what ACCA is. Most of the audience, the viewers, understand what ACCA is, but also as an organization, what ACCA is, we could, I think, start from there.
Right. As you rightly mentioned, it is important to distinguish between ACCA, the qualification, and ACCA, the professional accounting body.
Right.
So most people take them synonymously, but then ACCA offers qualification, which is the ACCA qualification, and of course by completing an ACCA qualification one becomes an ACCA member. There is that, but apart from that, ACCA itself is a professional accounting body which was established in 1904. So this November only we are going to celebrate 128th birthday of ACCA.
Right.
So there is that milestone as well which is happening this year. So in a nutshell, ACCA is a professional accounting body which offers ACCA qualification, but apart from ACCA qualification there are multitudes of things that ACCA does. So maybe we will delve into that over the course of this podcast. So that's all for now. Yeah.
Right. So it's a professional body, and it is also a regulator. It's also an institute, we can say, that produces professional accountants, and they are given certification as certified accountants.
Yeah,
right?
ACCA is based out of UK. So the provision that is there in UK is, so there is a term that is called recognized supervisory bodies. So there is ACCA, there is ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Ireland, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Scotland, and Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales. So all these are recognized supervisory bodies, and members of these bodies, they can practice as well. Practice meaning to say that they can do the audit work as well. And these bodies are then regulated by Financial Reporting Council. So there is that apex regulator as well. So just to put that framework into context, I wanted to share this.
Right. So it is one of the regulator of the profession, but it's under the umbrella of the Financial Reporting Council. Right. Because you are the country head for ACCA in Nepal. What is the history of ACCA in Nepal?
Most people don't know, but ACCA in Nepal has a long history. So ACCA exams in Nepal were undertaken the first time by British Council in 2036 Bikram Sambat.
Right.
So quite a long time back, and there was only one candidate who was sitting for the exam that time.
Right.
But then because we were not institutionalized and there were no partners who could offer the qualification on the ground, and ACCA office was also not there, albeit we had presence in the region and countries nearby, but then institutionalized presence of ACCA, I think, started in 2004 when a learning provider was set up, and they then started offering ACCA classes, and then the number of learning partners grew, the number of students grew, the number of members grew. So many candidates, they completed ACCA in Nepal as well, went to UK and other countries as well, then came back and contributed to the country and profession itself. But ACCA Nepal office, we had a voluntary representative, Mr. Pratap Prasad Pradhan. He was a voluntary representative, and he had been a voluntary representative for ACCA for quite some time. And in 2015, head of ACCA Nepal was appointed. But we then still were working through a third party, which was Mr. Pratap Prasad Pradhan. And it was in 2020, actually, we formally established our branch office here in Nepal. So it's been 4 years. So people might have the impression that ACCA institutionally has been here for long, but it's been just 4 years only.
The study centers, the study partners were here, and they were providing whatever was required as learning materials and everything. It was coordinating with the the apex body, the ACCA UK.
Yes, but also to add on to it, there was support from the region. So there were ACCA colleagues from Singapore and similar countries in the region who were supporting the team here in Nepal whenever there was the need of that. So of course the apex bodies, they're based out of UK, but then since ACCA has its footprint in many different countries, so almost more than 100 offices and centers globally. So there are teams in different parts of the world to support the different countries. Yeah.
But ACCA in direct or indirect has been in Nepal for almost 50 years. Like you said, when ACCA examination started from British Council, I think the first person to take those exams from Nepal was Suresh Sharma. I also had recently talked with him. He's currently serving as audit oversight member for the UN. ACCA in Nepal does have 50 years at least of its presence.
So it does have 50 years of presence, but in terms of let's say the actual work on the ground and in terms of that continued momentum, so there have been ups and downs because we didn't have institutional presence and the learning partners numbers were also few, member number were also few. So despite that presence, I would not term it as a continuous presence. So discontinuously ACCA has been in Nepal let's say for almost 50 years.
As an institution presence with a country representative here in Nepal, it's been just for 5 years.
So having established branch office in 2020, so can say 4 years, but then I myself have been working with ACCA since 2016, so which is almost 8 years now. So we were working through a third party, so there was that third party model, but then because our partner numbers were growing, our member numbers were growing, we were working with more employers, donor agencies and also the national body, we thought that maybe it's time for us to be institutionally present here in the country, and then we went with establishing the branch office. So that's the history.
What is the growth that you have seen so far on the number of students that are joining ACCA and also the number of members that have been passed out from ACCA and right here from Nepal?
Yeah, of late I have seen quite a strong growth and I think that growth has been fueled by a number of different factors. So one factor may be the aspiration to pursue, let's say, a qualification which provides you mobility. So mobility is an important aspect, and also the flexibility that ACCA as a qualification offers, also the future ready skills that ACCA offers. I think the other important factor is COVID as well, and I remember us discussing some time back about COVID and its impact. So students, they had the time to be at home, to research, to find out about things and the kind of things that ACCA was doing. Let's say, for example, even when there was COVID and many organizations, many institutions, they had to, let's say, suspend their exams and the progression was affected. ACCA was very proactive. So we conducted remotely invigilated exams and things like that. So I think all that has had an impact, and also over the time is the number of members grew. And then they went about working in many different organizations, demonstrated their skills, and then employers recognizing the value that they offer. So I think it's, let's say, a combined effort, a collective effort which has fueled all this. But of late, I see quite a tremendous growth in terms of the number of students. And you also asked about the number of members. What trend I'm witnessing right now is of late, there's that aspiration to move out of the country as well. And I believe in other professions as well, we see that trend. And ACCA members who are qualifying from Nepal are moving outside as well. And I hope they do return back, bring their skills and then contribute to the country, contribute to the economy. But of late, I have been seeing that trend as well. And talking about the numbers specifically, so we have almost 600 members who are working here in Nepal, but the same number of members who are of Nepali origin, they are outside the country as well. So that's a good number.
So 600 present here and 600 outside of the country, and the number of students. COVID for the profession, accounting profession in Nepal has been a boon, we can say, because there were not too many people joining the accounting profession. But now after COVID, irrespective of what is happening outside of in the world, in Nepal we can see a definite growth and an accelerated growth after COVID.
Of course, there is that sensitive aspect about the loss of lives and property, and there are people
Sure.
of different stratas who have been affected, much adversely because of COVID. But if we were to see silver lining, and I think looking at silver lining does give an individual hope, and it's always good to see silver lining. So that definitely is a silver lining for the accounting profession. So not only for ACCA, CAs, but across the domain, I see people being more resourceful, people exploring, finding about things, connecting with people, pursuing hobbies and things like that. So that definitely was a silver lining. Yeah.
There has been a global shortage of accountants.
That's right.
Because the old accountants are retiring, and there are few that are going into the accounting profession. Maybe because of some notion that accounting profession is a boring job. There is a notion there. But there's a flip side here, right?
Yeah.
People are actually now getting into the accounting profession more than ever, right? So do you see an opportunity there? Because there's always opportunity comes when there is demand and supply challenges, right?
That's right.
So do you see any opportunities for HCCAs or accounting professionals in Nepal?
There is definitely an opportunity, but while we are discussing about opportunity, we should also discuss about how ready we are to capture those opportunities, how equipped we are to capture those opportunities. And when you are sharing that, of course, there is that generation of accounting professionals who might be eventually retiring, and there is that shortage of accountants already felt as well. And I've been reading and hearing the discussions that USCPA is considering waiving of the university degree requirements for CPA, and maybe considering whether having those number of papers is a good idea or not. So what I'm trying to point out is how ready we are to capture those opportunities. And as we always say, and it has become a cliche, that accountants are not just number crunchers but value creators. But how do we create value? Are we equipped to create value? And what can we do to ensure that we are equipped to create value? I think a lot of discussion has to happen in this. So that's one thing. The other thing, and a sentence that I often repeat is, interdependence is a higher value than independence. So we can't do everything on our own. If that were the case, there would have been no family, there would have been no society, there would have been no country. So it requires collaboration, and human beings have, let's say, excelled and evolved out of the collaboration. So what I'm trying to get at is, so different professional accounting bodies, not only professional accounting bodies, different accounting professionals will have their own domain of strengths. But at the same time, they would need to collaborate with other professional accountants, with other professional accounting bodies, so that they then could capture the opportunities. So it's about let's say mutual growth, symbiosis, where each one benefits out of the other. So there is definitely opportunity, and a lot of things are coming. We are talking about ESG, we are talking about climate finance, we are talking about integrated reporting, we are talking about the impact of AI, blockchain and things like that, and accounting professionals need to be up to speed. But in order to do that, deliver that, and to capture those opportunities, I think there needs to be quality discussion and quality action as well. So that's what I see.
Right. So even if there is opportunity, you have to reach for it. Right? How do you reach for it? You upgrade yourself. What are the skills that are required? And accounting profession now more than ever, with the the advent of AI, of technology, accounting has become more technology based. Rather than just number crunching. So there's a skill that is required to be savvy with technology, and also AI that is changing the accounting industry. When we are talking about the opportunity, what I see for Nepal at least, or countries like Nepal, is that there are two types of opportunities. Like you said, when people opt for ACCA is because of the mobility that it provides. You can go anywhere in the world and apply your knowledge there. So what I can see from the opportunity that is being provided by the global shortage is that first, Nepalese with accounting professional degrees, right, they can move to other countries and give their services there. Or the second one is they can give the services right here from Nepal. Right? They can tie up with firms or companies that require talent, but they do not want people coming in. They just want results, right? Whatever the work is being done, if it is being done, then from wherever it is being done, it's not of an essence.
True.
But I'm not in too much of a proponent of the first one, going abroad, right? So what we can do is the second one. The ultimate objective of you going abroad, joining the accounting profession in the West, is that you want to work in the profession, right? So if you can work from here, if you do not have to uproot yourself from your country, from your family, from your relationship, but get that exposure, I think that the second option would be quite better. And like you said, you need how ready we are is also a question, and that needs to be discussed.
You share and talk about these aspects, going out of the country and living inside the country, and I think we have to look at it from first principles perspective. So why would anyone want to go out of the country, maybe earning, maybe living standard and things like that, but then if these could be ensured in the country itself, take for example the IT profession. So a lot of outsourcing is happening within the IT profession, and people in Nepal are getting that opportunity, working from the country, and as you said, they are with their family, with their relatives in the country. If the earning capacity, if the living standard could be ensured, and that of course any human, any individual would want that, and you rightly mentioned in the accounting profession as well, there is that scope, and while we are discussing on that and creating opportunities for that and want to attract foreign players or even Nepalese who are working outside to outsource into the country, two things we basically need to ensure: whether we have adequate supply of the skilled human resource. So that's one thing, because there may be a different system that they are working on. There might be different regimes when it comes to taxation and of course accounting standards. Of course there is IFRS, but there can be some variation from one country to the other country. So whether we have adequate number is one thing, and whether the numbers that we are producing have the right skill set in order to capture that work as well. And it once again boils down to the thing that I discussed earlier. How do we ensure that? Is by collaborating through connection, through interdependence, and through mutual resources sharing.
Collaboration between the accounting bodies here in Nepal, but also collaboration with accounting bodies outside of Nepal, right? What are the requirements of those countries that are facing challenges?
And when you say collaboration between accounting bodies, I would go a step further and say that it's not only collaboration between accounting bodies, but collaboration between accounting professionals as well. Because ultimately the work is done at the level of the individual. So proactive individuals might themselves make that initiative to collaborate with other accounting professionals and pool in their knowledge and expertise and create a synergy out of it. Collaboration can happen across many different levels.
What I have been seeing so far is that there are accountants here in Nepal that have been working for accounting firms outside in Australia, USA, but from Nepal, and so they are getting skilled, that already have skills, and also those coming in they also want to explore opportunities outside, and they are also trying to get skilled by themselves, right? When we are talking about collaboration, the skill gap that we might face, we are also trying to bridge those kind of gaps. So we are also looking into whether we can provide trainings on accounting softwares, accounting procedures, taxations of a specific countries. Let's say someone might be interested on working for the Australian ecosystem, accounting ecosystem. So we are now actually looking into whether we can produce those skills, whether we can train them, and then fill the gap between the skills, because there is always the they are already skilled on accounting, everything, but just a culture fit and a little system fit, right? Whatever systems or outside accounting is more focused on tech, helping them get friendly with the technology, and also the system, the cultural system, and also the accounting and tech systems. If we can bridge the gap, and once we can start providing those services, the trainings and skill gaps we can fill, then there will be in both sides of the aisle, right? Those seeking to recruit accountants, qualified accountants, but maybe at a lower cost, and because of the technology that we have now, we do not need to be present in the country of where the services required.
Yeah.
So someone looking outside in also can find skills, and the others in the accounting profession that are trying to look for other opportunities can see the examples set by someone just doing the work there.
Yeah.
So now what we can do is provide an ecosystem where we can train them and then place them in these opportunities.
That's
so
right.
those skills will be fulfilled. There is win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
Accounting firms or businesses outside can have skilled manpower with a significant savings in their cost. And also those accountants in Nepal can have international exposure, a jump in their salary structure also. So there is saving in both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
There's cost saving there, but here also there is a salary increase.
Yeah.
Right. So both can benefit, and we are now looking into providing those ecosystems, and hopefully we can do that. And maybe when we create those momentum, people will join in, and we can have a vibrant ecosystem, and maybe in the future we can be the next Philippines or India or Sri Lanka.
That's a great initiative that you are undertaking, and that's a great vision as well. So of course there is that business element to it, but there is the element of giving something back as well.
Right.
So when you are preparing that human resource, so you are creating opportunities for them, and that's very important. And I always repeat this statement whenever I'm talking with my colleagues, and also let's say with the stakeholders, that one should think very hard about future problems, and should be prepared in advance in how to deal with them. So our current approach is that we are looking a very short-term horizon, and looking at immediate problems, trying to grapple with them, dealing with them. But then, they say the hockey stick curve. So initially the curve increases slightly, but then it increases rapidly. So change is like that. Black swan events might be like that. So initially the impact might not be felt, and people might not be proactive in dealing with them. But when that change happens like a tsunami, the impact is felt like a tsunami, it can sweep you over. So one should think sufficiently hard about what are the things impacting professional accountants. We as accounting professionals, or let's say even professional accounting body, are we serious enough? Are we strategic enough to think about this, and to prepare ourselves and even the future generation for this? And by what you are sharing, I see that mindset, and I would really like to appreciate it. But there should be more of these voices, there should be more of these professionals. Of course we have our daily chores, we have our work, and we are occupied with it, but ultimately we are a community as well, a community of accounting professionals. And as we discussed in the beginning, and I believe this has been the theme, that we humans have come to where we are today because of collaboration, the ability to collaborate with each other. So that should be the spirit.
We cannot go too far without collaboration, right? But when something is being started, there would be a lone person maybe. But if that person can show a guide, right, that there's opportunities here, and if we can collaborate as an accounting profession whole, we can have bigger impact and create opportunities, not for one single person, but the entire accounting community in Nepal can benefit. And also, like you said, the hockey stick, right? When someone working in Nepal, from Nepal, working for firms or businesses outside, the people coming after them, right? The young ones, when they see opportunities being happening there, now they will be attracted, and the number of people that want to join the accounting profession will also increase.
That's right.
And they will have case studies already, what skills will be required. And such ecosystem, when you can create the training, the apprenticeship, and then the placement, that ecosystem then will increase, first maybe 10% in a year. Then it can gradually become take that hockey stick leave, and will have a robust outsourcing culture in Nepal, right?
Yeah. Also, when you are sharing that, and just off-topic discussion. So when we are looking into the future, what we also should be mindful is, and there is this great book that I recently read, The Innovator's Dilemma.
Right.
So it talks about sustaining technologies and it talks about disruptive technologies. And great firms, big organizations have failed because they focused on sustaining technologies. They did have the resources, they did have the capacity, they did have the leverage, but then they focused on sustaining technologies. They listened to their existing customer base only, who of course would have their own interests and who have their own aspirations, and they pursued strategies along similar line. So my point is, when we are thinking about future, when we are thinking about creating business, creating opportunities and creating scope, we also need to be mindful of the kind of business that will be created in the future, the kind of clients that will be there in the future. So not only the existing clients, not only the existing business and just being totally focused on serving the existing clients and serving the existing business, but thinking about the potential and the opportunities that technology will unleash, that technology will bring to the fold, and we need to think on it, work on it, and then accordingly prepare on it. Take for example, so Intel, they used to produce large mainframe computers, but then personal computers came along, and that whole business, was wiped out. And of course, there is that element of the film roll camera, which was produced by, I think, Nikon or some other companies.
Kodak, right?
Kodak. But then the digital cameras came, and then the phones came. So we should not be obsessed about serving the existing customer base only, serving the existing business interests only, but have to look into the future. And when you talked about, let's say, creating that outsourcing culture, unleashing those business opportunities, getting firms to come into Nepal, we should also be very critically thinking about the future opportunities as well, the future skills as well, the future human resource requirements as well. So I think if we can do that, we would be in a good shape, or else things will happen, and when we look retrospectively, we can connect the dots, but we were not able to connect those dots looking into the future.
You should always be innovating, right? There's a very good school of thought where someone said, whatever works, why reinvent the wheel? But world has changed because someone reinvented the wheel every time. So whatever works, you have to work on that, do whatever is working, but also think what might we need, right? And because now more than ever, innovations is happening in such a rapid pace that what challenges we have is also, first getting skilled on whatever is happening, but also thinking far ahead, where we could be the innovators, right? Not just joining the innovators, but also we could innovate, and we could be in the forefront of the accounting profession as a whole, where we are an indispensable member of the financial reporting or accounting of the world as a whole.
Absolutely true. And if we have the drive and if we have the interest, I think we are as resourced as any individual anywhere in the world because of the internet, the kind of technologies that are there and the kind of networks that we could tap into. So it's about the will, it's about the drive, and it's about the ambition as well. And you also rightly mentioned about failures and the need to innovate. So most people are very afraid of failure. But what I always say is, failure, one should not be afraid of failure unless it's let's say fatal. It leads to the total collapse or things like that. Because without failure, without iterations, without iterating, you can't get a refined outcome. So if you do things, you will know what works and what does not work. What does not work, you leave it out. What works, you continue with it, and add on more improvements. So I think taking bold step is always necessary, is always a requisite. But then it comes down to culture, ambition, and the whole ecosystem as well.
Right. I want to go back to the examples of Kodak that you that you gave, and just now what you said about failing. Because if you are succeeding in something and think that you will always succeed there, then you will become a dinosaur like Kodak became, because they were the leaders in camera technology. But with the advent of smartphone, with the advent of digital cameras, they thought them as fads,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So even if they were not the innovators, they could join the innovators.
True.
After a while, if they had the long-term vision of that, they might want to join what the innovations is being, maybe take 10% or 20% of their firm's potential and use that in innovation,
Yeah.
and also continue whatever they are doing right now.
Right. And when you say that, what also needs to be understood is they had the resource because their business was hugely successful.
Right.
They had that capacity, they had that advantage, but then they looked at serving the existing customer base only.
Right.
So therein lies the problem.
The amateur photographers then came in,
Yeah.
and now the existing customer base also were attracted to the new technologies.
True. It always happens like that. Yeah.
So their old customer base also now morphed into they wanted the digital technologies.
True. So when you say that, and I also do discuss this with colleagues and with different people. So there is this thing that we say poll. So we take the popular voice and popular opinion, but many a times a leader will need to chart his or her own way and not simply go with how things are moving, and should be able to clearly look into the future. Of course, inputs should be sought after, but then it always requires critical thinking and strategic analysis, but always popular voices, immediate feedback, emotional feedback, these things might not lead to the right direction.
Right, correct. And when we are talking about the accounting profession, also the accounting profession, we talked about technology being a major part of the accounting culture now. I think for 4 or 5 months before the president of IFAC joined the CA Institute here, in there was a conference there, and she was talking about the new opportunities. But what she also mentioned was the need to reskill, upskill. Right, there are opportunities, but you will have to skill yourself, maybe, and collaboration also. She talked about collaboration with the digital age. If we are talking about public accounting or auditing, now cyber audit is also a fundamental aspects of where accountants could give assurance services, but they will have to collaborate with the IT guys, right? So collaboration is now not just in the accounting profession, but also in the inter professions with other professions as well. So there's a need to reskill, upskill. There is a need to get yourself better at soft skills as well. And also now you have to think outside of your accounting profession as well. So collaborate with your accounting profession, but also think about other profession when we are talking about finance functions as well, where the accountants were just providing the reporting and only just cash flow management and capital budgeting. Now the sense in the world is that the finance profession has now changed to value profession, where you provide value, where you provide the strategic inputs as well. So the strategy now should not always come from the top, but the CFO level people, they will have to be a definitive, and they'll have to play a definitive role on suggesting the strategic direction of the companies. So the accounting profession has become quite dynamic, and the skill set required for those people have also been wide. So you shouldn't be a specialist. Yes, being a specialist is very helpful, but while being a specialist, you should also be generalist. True.
And that complexity is only going to increase over time. And as you mentioned about not only inter-profession, but intra-professional collaboration, that is absolutely required. And business processes, business systems are getting more complex. Take, for example, we now talk about AI. And if you have to, let's say, audit a particular outcome coming out of AI, you can't understand the algorithm at work. So there are a lot of nuances and technologies involved. There are opportunities, as we have been discussing, and there are then challenges to capture those opportunities, but it once again comes down to how forward looking we are.
So opportunities does not mean that you can there's an apple and you can go and just grab and eat, right? So you'll have to reach out. You'll have to if it is a bit away from you, you'll have to take the help of maybe a spoon or something to catch it, right?
True.
Because your hand cannot reach
Yeah.
it. So it is actually an analogy to, you will have to understand where the opportunities is, what skills you'll need to,
Yeah.
add so that you can have your hand a bit further there.
True, and also humility.
Right.
We should always have humility. There is this line from one of the Netflix series that I saw earlier. The series name was Dark. So what we know is a drop. What we don't know is an ocean.
Right.
So many a times we have the notion that we know a lot, but
Correct.
things are so complex, things are so vast, and things continue to evolve, and ultimately it's a complex system with so many variables, so many uncertainties, non-linearities, things playing out in many different ways. So one should always have the humility.
We want the accounting profession to move forward, right? More and more people to come and join the accounting profession because there are opportunities that are evolving.
Right.
So what do you think can be done as an organization, ACC as an organization, and also other organizations in the country to attract such people to the accounting profession, and also what we could do to help them grab those opportunities?
So first thing on what ACC is doing is, so we are always evolving, that I can say for sure. And ACCA recently has a new ambition statement that is to lead accountancy profession for a changed world, because the world has undergone tremendous change, and we have redefined our strategic priorities as well. So we have now 3 different strategic priorities. So one is to redefine the accountant. So as you said, how accountants are traditionally understood and how they should be understood now in terms of the value that they are adding. So redefine the accountant is one thing. The other is drive career success, and of course to drive career success you will need to equip them with the right skills. So ACCA has done away with paper-based exams. So we have computer-based exams, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, because it's the workplace skill basically. So we have case studies paper and things like that. We have skills module. We are looking to add employability modules. We are rethinking about the structure of the qualification as well and things like that. And we do research as well, joint research as well, by collaborating with other professional accounting bodies and let's say the accounting firms as well. So this year we have 3 different themes, and we have done a number of research work across these 3 themes. So these 3 themes are AI, talent, and sustainability, which are relevant. But then coming back to how to attract the young minds, or so to say the aspirants, I think one needs to understand their mindset. Where are they coming from? What are their aspirations? So of course people want flexibility, people want mobility, people want a community, all these elements. So one should, as I said at the beginning, one should think hard on not only the present but also the future, because there will be changes as these technologies continue to unleash their potential, and things are still unclear at the moment, but things will happen over the time, and there might be change in mindsets and things like that. So of course, while we are doing things at the moment, but also being forward looking to how we could respond, and we also discussed about things like climate finance, ESG, value reporting, and of course integrating AI. How will the basic skills be seen? Let's say accounting standards, tax, and things like that. So if the LLMs, the large language models, continue to get advanced, and one has it, and a premium version of it, so to say, and ask a question to it, and you directly get an answer. So how will the accountants continue to demonstrate their relevance and value and things like that? So professional accounting bodies should think along those lines, and accounting professionals should also think along those lines, and ultimately look into the future as well. And finally, in order to make all this happen, as I have continuously been saying, it's collaboration, and it's strategic partnerships.
Going right for ACCA is that it is a global accounting body, not just restricted to one country. So there are learnings happening in each country, and because ACCA is one single organization, there are interactions between all those countries, and I think you have more insight onto what is happening at the present, and what skills would be required, and what you could do for the professions, your members, and those joining in after sometime, right? So I think that is going right for the ACCA. I
Yeah,
think.
that's an interesting perspective and great way to look at it. I had not thought along those lines, but of course, the more the feedback loops are there, as we talked about earlier, iterations,
Right.
the more the knowledge, and that
Right.
the knowledge can be then leveraged on. And you rightly said, we will have certain dynamics. Let's say in Pakistan, we will know how the landscape is evolving there. Of course, then China, then India, and let's say the European countries, North American countries, Africa, and also the ASEAN region as well. So all those feedback loops then do help us in terms of sensing how the accounting profession is evolving, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, and what can be done about it. So that's a good perspective, interesting perspective. Yeah.
So we'll end it at this point, and thank you for sharing your perspective on what could be done to attract new members in the profession, but also what could be done for the accountants in Nepal to seek the opportunities that are now being seen due to the shortage of accountants worldwide. So there's that opportunity there, but also not just shortage, but also the new things evolving like ESG, like climate finance, right? The advent of AI. So everything, there's challenges, but also opportunities with the challenges as well. And whenever there are challenges, if you can get skilled, then you will be 2 steps forward than the rest of in the profession. So there is where the opportunities also lie.
True. And as we wrap up, and I would like to take the leverage from you, what I wanted also to emphasize is when we are talking about attracting young minds, and as professional body, what we can do is, and of course ACCA also had challenges when it comes to progression and then retention of the students. So one should not pride oneself in how tough it is to gain that qualification, but one should think of strategies, think of ways in terms of how that progression can be influenced, in terms of how more and more candidates can then qualify and then go into let's say the arena where they can compete and they can prove themselves. Take for example, ACCA has Study Hub. So ACCA recently has launched Study Hub, so wherein there are learning materials for free, which the candidates can then go on and study. And then there are different interventions as well. Do take these progression issues very seriously, and I think that is also another element in terms of how you cater to young minds. So how assured they can be of completing the qualification, while at the same time being mindful that you are not offering things on a plate. Of course, one has to work through it, one has to work for it, but at the same time reflecting on ourselves as well in terms of what more can we do to ensure that it happens.
Right. So on the organizational level, the organization, the profession will do certain steps that it can do to attract the talent, but the talent should also be mindful that they will need to go beyond whatever the profession is providing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that's a very good note to end the session. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and it was lovely speaking with you. Thank you so much.